Oh, well, hello there, and welcome to this inaugural Q&A on my channel. Welcome, I've created this shapeless question void for you. I've poured myself a glass of whiskey, and I'm pretending to smoke a pipe because, you know, I dressed up. This is all in reaction to the fact that the announcement for this video was very, very underproduced. I shot it in an Airbnb on a tablet in a desperate attempt to create some content into the gaping maw of YouTube. So, I'm not going to make this fancy, nothing on screen. It's just me and you, dear viewer. I'm going to be reading this off my tablet. Adrian Mendoza and Paul Butcher got in first. I'm going to start with Adrian. Paul, you had quite a few questions, so I'm going to put those at the back. So, sorry about that. But just for the sense of pacing, sir. But anyway, let's crack on, shall we? I'll just put on the dad glasses. So, Adrian Mendoza posted on my hair loss video. Stupid question, how difficult was it seeing yourself on YouTube? Not a stupid question at all, Adrian. That's a completely understandable question, actually. It's not something I, in particular, struggle with. I know certain others do. I mean, part of my job as a videographer is to drag people in front of camera, and they're very uncomfortable with it. I don't mind it so much. I've been playing around with video cameras and stuff for a while, and it was a kind of slow ease in. Because if you say to somebody, would you like to be on a channel with 1 million subscribers, I imagine that's quite daunting. I mean, that's basically like being on television. Whereas when I was just posting my own stupid crap on this channel, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, I was getting maybe, 50 views or something, so there's no pressure. So I've kind of eased into it, and I'm an inveterate narcissist. So, you know, I'm not bothered. Moving swiftly on there. Bear with me as I awkwardly scroll through this. Vic Rules 666 asks, favourite comic artist and why? Very good question. I have a few. Probably my all-time fave is Carlos Ezquerra. He was co-creator of Judge Dredd, and when I was a kid, I found out who created Judge Dredd, John Wagner and Carlos Ezquerra, basically. And as a kind of 8-year-old, I went, well, those are my favourite comic creators, which is kind of dumb. But as an adult, that has kind of held true. And Carlos's work, if you can ever see it, he worked on Preacher. He's done various things with Garth Ennis and loads of Dredd. He's a Spanish artist. He brought this kind of insane, rough sensibility. He's a real rule breaker to the artwork. So it's very kind of idiosyncratic. You can spot his work a mile off. It's kind of rough. He does jagged panel edges. He does these kind of dotted lines to create a sense of depth around his characters when he foregrounds them. I think his use of colour is wonderful, particularly when he hand-coloured stuff. His work on Necropolis, actually, in the 90s is probably visually, and writing for what it's worth, but visually, it's one of my favourite tracks of comics ever, hands down. I mean, you know, over Watchmen and stuff like that. It might not have the depth and complexity of that, but in terms of the storytelling and the visuals, it's amazing. I mean, I really think he's incredible. And his work is brilliant in black and white as well, because everything used to be presented in black and white back in the day. Yeah, he's incredible. Yeah, so there you go. James Walk asks, I'm aware that you're a fan of The Walking Dead. Recently, the show hasn't been as good as it used to be. As a fan of the zombie/survival genre, what would you do to bring the show back to its glory days? Tough question. See, I stay with The Walking Dead out of basically Stockholm Syndrome, because I sit and watch it and complain, but I very rarely stick with American series anymore. And 8 seasons in, i.e. 8 years in, I can't really back out anymore. We're sort of stuck with each other like a shitty relationship. So I don't know what I would do. I will say this, no spoilers, but the recent shake-ups of Fear the Walking Dead, so I really like the first season of Fear the Walking Dead, second and third not so much, but the fourth, I didn't see the third really. The fourth season has really shaken things up, and I just find it inherently more interesting. I just think the scenarios they have, because fucking Walking Dead, man, how many times can you see like a bunch of angry hillbillies walking around in the woods? Or currently the preoccupation's been with the war. I'm going to follow it through. I don't know what I'd do with The Walking Dead, but they should take a leaf out of Fear the Walking Dead's book, in my view. Stitcher123 asks, if you had to watch Terminator 3 Rise of the Truck Chase, well played, or Robocop 2014 on loop Clockwork Orange style for a week, which would you choose? Mate, would you rather eat solid turds or drink diarrhea? FYZ30699903 asks, what are some of your favourite YouTubers regarding films and video games? Also, do you use reviews of films/games to influence your purchasing choices, or do you prefer to decide on your own? I like Mr. Sunday Movies a lot. Obviously, we watch Red Letter Media. I watch Mark Commode's 5 Live thing. Annoyingly, I try to avoid watching other people's reviews now because there's that thing where it can influence your own. So I'd only really watch a review after we've recorded ours if we are reviewing the film. Because you don't want to kind of get those schools of thought in, and then people can kind of go like, oh, well, you copied that from this, and it's like, well, no, because I haven't watched it. But I particularly I like Movie Bob as well. I've caught shit for that in the past, but hey, I like what he does. Though he was a bit of a knob to me on Twitter recently, but never mind. Video games, I like Retro Man Cave, I like Kim Justice, I like Dan Ibbotson, I like Larry Bundy, I like Nostalgia Nerd, all that stuff. I really consume a lot of that. Really like Retro Man Cave, dude. Like, I love his whole fucking vibe. Like, he's so chill. Like, he did 35 minutes on knockoff Soviet versions of the ZX Spectrum. I was completely captivated by it. It's like taking a bath in cocoa. Just like, hello, cave dwellers, and welcome. We're going to talk about Spectrums this week. Fucking love it. It's the most relaxing thing in the whole world. Still single, ladies, in case you're wondering. Mikey P. Peppers the channel. Rather mouthful there, Mikey P. Peppers the channel. Do you think From Dusk Till Dawn is a movie that has a Psycho-like twist and change of direction / plot at a time when the audience wouldn't expect that change to happen? Can you name any other movie that has a sort of plot divergence in it and does it effectively as those two movies? Yeah, I can get behind that because the whole, spoilers for Psycho, but the whole thing is Janet Leigh's set up and then she's not, in it. And also, Dusk Till Dawn, it suddenly becomes a vampire movie, which is seemingly because Tarantino got tired of writing it and Rodriguez took over and made it into this kind of genre thing. In terms of, because that's a first act twist, isn't it? And I can't really think of any other first act twists. I have always thought that if you look at Terminator 2, if you'd never seen a Terminator film, or even if you had, and you hadn't seen any of the marketing, you could be forgiven for thinking that the T-1000 is the good guy, because you've been conditioned to see that Arnold is the Terminator. And I think the film plays with that expectation. It's kind of pointless because it was so insanely marketed that it kind of, whatever. But yeah, I would say, what does it effectively have as those two? Well, can't think of anything on the top of my head. I mean, it's hard to sort of match up to old Alfred, isn't it? BWM Media asks, what's your fave zombie movie, excluding the Romero movies and Shaun of the Dead? Good question. I mean, there's been so many of them, isn't there? I'm a big fan of Return of the Living Dead, which totally, I've always said, we did a commentary on it and stuff, but I've always said it kind of turns everything on its head, and it's more like Gremlins, than say a traditional zombie movie. It's like a creature feature thing, but I really love it. I love its humour, I love its script, I love the performances, I love the effects. I just think it's fantastic. Another one as kind of a cheat is Charlie, I would say it's almost a template for Black Mirror, but if you've ever seen Dead Set, which is the Charlie Brooker zombie series, it was like a mini series, so it was like 6 episodes or something, that's set in the Big Brother house during a filming of a season of Big Brother. I really love that. I just think it's really clever. And again, the writing is really great. And it really has that kind of tone that they then took onto Black Mirror. And I always felt like that was kind of testing the water. And I do kind of view it as a 3-hour movie. And the end of Dead Set gave me the same sort of bereft feeling that I got when I'd finished up watching like Day of the Dead for the first time, or Dawn of the Dead for the first time, or Night of the Dead. That kind of, it just kicks you in the bollocks and walks away. So yeah, I'd say probably those two quite different picks. Chalky the Human, hi Chalky, says, hey Richard, rocking the new look. Thank you very much. What were your career ambitions / dreams as a child when you were a teenager? What were your dreams and ambitions as a child, like when you were a teenager? I don't know if you had any idea of what you wanted to do when you were 5. Well, actually, Chalky, when I was 5, I wanted to be a train driver. I was absolutely fucking obsessed with trains, so I do know what I wanted to do when I was 5. When I was a teenager, I kind of got into movies, really, and I wanted to make movies. And that still hasn't quite panned out, but that bit of a boring answer and a bit predictable. But yeah, I wanted to be like a filmmaker, but I came to that quite late in my teenage years because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I kind of wanted to do psychology for a bit, but then I ended up finding a college that did film studies, which was arguably a huge mistake. But nobody did film studies then, and I think now they're teaching it to all the kids, aren't they? So yeah, train driver. I told my mum once that I wanted to be a full-time train driver and a part-time artist when I was 5. It's a fucking weird kid. Goxa asks, 1, will the lost episode of Risky Quizness ever see the light of day? 2, have you ever seen any Hungarian movies? The last episode of Risky Quizness, I'm not sure. I might just start from scratch with it because it was a bit wonky. I wasn't too happy with it, and it's just sat on a hard drive. I've got it, like I haven't edited it, but I've got it. Might drop it on this channel one day as a curio. I don't know, so maybe. We just did the live show, which should be dropping. If I get this up tonight, the live show will come on general YouTube. It will come on Gen Pop tomorrow, and you can watch it. So there's a mini risky quizzness at the end of the live show, and that's something I want to carry forward to any more live shows we do, is have like a risky quizzness element. So it ain't dead. It's my little baby. 2, have you ever seen any Hungarian movies? No, I haven't seen any Hungarian movies. I've only just started to see some Eastern European cinema. I just watched a couple of Polish movies this week, actually. My friend showed me, hi Marta, if you're watching this, did you get this far? You probably didn't. She showed me the Polish-Russian War, which I really liked, and also Day of the Wacko. But that's as far east as I got at the moment. If you've got any recommendations, then by all means, send them my way. Dobby Do asks, what's your favourite duck-based movie of the 80s produced by George Lucas, starring Leah Thompson and Tim Robbins? It's tough, but I think I'm going to have to say Howard the Duck, aren't I? Yeah, you've hemmed me in there, but we're going to say Howard the Duck. L. Thomas, I don't know how to say your name, mate, because we've interacted a lot. Is it Cater? Carter? C-A-T? Anyway, L. Thomas Cater or Carter says, how many Onken Biopots can you eat in one sitting? Now, I've never eaten an Onken Biopot, and I'm not the biggest yogurt fan, though I am a glutton, and if that's some kind of throwdown, challenge me. I'll see how many I can do. I can record it. I'll release it in 4K. I'll record it in the void. Mikey P. Peppers, the channel. He's back with more. Who is your favourite Doctor Who? Please get the lads to do some Doctor Who commentaries. I know it's a saturated platform. I reckon you could get the lads to laugh and enjoy a classic on New Who. Doctor Who is very much not those guys. Those guys' bag. We did the 50th anniversary review. You probably remember. I'll try. I reckon the Happiness Patrol is fucking lols, man, with its evil Bertie Bassett. So I can try. That's all I can promise. My favourite Doctor is John Pertwee. Loved John Pertwee as a kid, and I love Capaldi's kind of, attachment to that interpretation. Haven't forgotten you, Paul Butcher. I'm going to come to you as well because you asked me similar. The third Doctor, by the way, he was just always kind of a bit of a cunt. I mean, I know the old Doctors always were, but he was very much a bit of a cunt. Sean M asks, what's the most disappointed you've been for an anticipated movie, TV show, video game or book? Is there a TV or film programme you want to see but is missing or incomplete? Oh, that's tough, so I've got to think about it. Now, I remember the thing is, like, I knew Terminator 3 was going to be shit. And this is before we kicked into that whole thing. But I went into Terminator 3, and in the few days before, I thought, do you know what, maybe it might be all right. Went and saw it. I was absolutely bereft when I came out. It was the worst thing. Same thing with RoboCop. I got the director's other movies, the Elite Squad movies, the Brazilian kind of police films. Watched them both, thought they were amazing, and I was like, well, Jesus, this is a perfect choice of director. Maybe this will be all right. It wasn't. It was awful. So that's a bit obvious, isn't it? Ryan Johnson's Looper. Now, I'm a really big fan of the film Primer by Shane Carruth. It's a really kind of hard science fiction go at a sci-fi movie. It's very complex. And I heard that Shane Carruth was advising on Looper. And I was just like, well, that's enough for me. Like, if this dude's advising on a time travel, kind of a big budget time travel spectacle, that's going to be fucking awesome. Went to the cinema, watched Looper, and it was stupid crap. I'm not apologising for that. Looper's stupid crap, all right? And that's that. Is there a TV film or programme you want to see but is missing or incomplete? It'd be quite nice if they finished Star Trek Enterprise, wouldn't it? You know, that kind of went out early. There was a show called Now and Again that me and my brother used to watch that only got one season. Quite like to see some more of that. I'm sure I've got a better answer for you, mate, but I just can't pull it off the top of my head. But that's what I've got. And you said, keep up the good work and have a good one. You too, mate. Thank you very much for your question. Marco Hibbins asks, hi Richard, if there were to be any 2000 AD animated movies, what thrills and characters would you like to see in animated form? Good question. So there's been a Strunt Dog one, we've had Dredd, Strunt Dog fan film, Rogue Trooper fan film. I'd definitely put Rogue Trooper, at the top of the pile. There's a strip in 2000 AD called Low Life, which is like a Dredd spin-off, which is about kind of undercover judges. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see some kind of the wonky stuff from the 80s. I'd love to see like a Bill Savage movie. I'd love to see an ABC Warriors movie. I think that would be really great. Bad Company by Brett Ewins and Peter Milligan, the original Bad Company run. It's a great kind of self-contained thing. I'd love to see the Bad Company movie. Yeah, I'd say bad company. Carl Technocop asks, do you favour a separate fridge freezer or a single fridge freezer combo unit? In my ideal world, I'd have a combo unit, the full sizer. Right now I've got separates and the fridge contains a top freezer drawer. I find this very frustrating. I find the whole situation very frustrating. And also this house, as nice as it is, the kitchen was built for my landlady's, I think, mother or grandmother. So everything's very low and you have to stoop. There are no shelves. My flatmate is like 6'4", I'm 6'1". It's a very bad time. I want the combo unit, actually. What I'd really like is the two at kind of eye level. So I'd take two separates side by side. Unconventional, right? But that's how I'd do it. Also with one of those ice makers on the front. Fucking love an ice maker. Brilliant. I had to get this ice out of a bag. Like a fucking caveman. Oh no, I hope I don't want to get this wrong. Mail Sote. Oh yes, I'm going to condense your questions, sir or madam. I'm not actually sure. Oh, you're from Mexico. Okay, really sorry. So the general gist is that you thought on the Revenge of the Sith commentary that the other guys were ganging up on me, and you're saying that you feel often that people gang up on you, I believe. Shut the people off and moves on. I've got to say, no, I mean, I didn't feel that. I can't remember. We do a lot of commentaries and I can't remember a lot of what goes down. I've never, ever felt ganged up upon when we're doing stuff. It may be the case. And if it was, it didn't really affect me. I would say, you know, for your own purposes, that's not nice. It's a horrible thing. And I hope it makes you feel better that that's not what was going on there, at least to my estimations. Thank you for asking, but everything is fine. And I hope, you know, people give you that shit. Fuck them. Arseholes. They don't deserve your time, dude. So, you know, don't worry about it. So yeah, boring answer. But I think the answer is no. Maybe go ask Ollie and Duncan. They might go tell you something else. Greg C. merely says, love the backdrop, referring to, that's Maureen's room in Birmingham, which I use for Airbnb when I'm at work. Fucking amazing. I go back there all the time. She's awesome. Removing the veil. What's up, bro? Do you still read 2000 AD novels? I get the comic every week. Today is Saturday, so I've had my subscription, comes through the door. I get the magazine and the 2000 AD every week. They're the only comics I read on the regs. And I'm not spending money on graphic novels and stuff at the moment because I just can't afford it. But yeah, I read 2000 AD every week. And that has never changed for a really fucking long time. Richard Burney asks, what's the most raging you've ever made somebody with your views on films, either in person or online? I've had some kind of really angry shit, man. Like, just generally, it's hard to be too specific, like, but people just fucking start getting personal, throwing insults and swears at you, like attacking your appearance and shit. Like, I can't nail it down at all, but there's some nasty motherfuckers out there. Get all wound up because you don't agree with them about, like, fucking Star Wars or whatever. So it happens more than I'd like, is the short answer. But I can't think of anyone in particular. But you get some ranty fucks, man. Like, no capital letters, no full stops. You know, like fucking both barrels. It's nasty. Hi, Richard. I really enjoyed your B-movie trash video on Oliver's channel, where you've discussed your impressive collection. I was wondering if there's any other B-movie titles that you've discovered over the years that you think are hidden gems or overlooked. I covered most of the top shelf of that stuff in that video. I have a series coming out called Trash Talk, which is coming very slowly because YouTube does not pay my bills, at all, not even nearly. So I'm still I have to go away and work on my real job and stuff, which is lovely because it's, freelance and such. But I will get into that in great detail. So no quick answer just now, but there will be an involved series of videos on that very topic in the future. Frank T. Allen. Frank's one of my buddies, actually, so this is a bit of a silly question. So Frank asks, what did you have for tea? If you're unfamiliar, like in Scotland, where my mum's from, and like up north, where Frank's from, tea doesn't mean cup o' tea, it means dinner. That night in the Airbnb, Frank, I had like a Rustler burger, like the microwave burger and the microwave hot dog. And like the one below that is Feasters. I had the brand below that because the room in the Airbnb has a microwave in and I ate too. I'm not proud of that. Oh, as a proper question from Frank, or is there? How do you think the original Richard Jackson will feel when he finds out that Dick Jackson from Earth 2, made from the combined DNA of Jason Statham and Richard Fairbrass, has replaced him? Spoilers. Mikey P. Peppers, the channel is back. What's your favourite black and white movie, and what era of movies is your favourite, apart from, of course, the movies made in the 80s? In terms of black and white, I really like... Someone's asked a similar question, I think. I'm really into... I got really into the German Expressionism when I was a kid, when I was a student, which is the most pretentious thing a film fan can like, but I really was into M, and I was really into Dr. Caligari. But then, of course, I really like, Orson Welles. I'd like Touch of Evil is probably one of my favourites. I love Kane as well. Black and white just as a cheap shot, Night of the Living Dead, of course. Mikey P. the Peppers, the channel. You're asking me about slasher. What's my favourite slasher? I'm not the biggest slasher fan, dude. Like, I sort of liked when they got really cheesy, so I'm a big fan of Jason X. You know, you're not supposed to say that, but I fucking love Jason X. I think it's brilliant. And also Freddy versus Jason, because I thought that was brilliant as well. And I'm a naughty boy for having that opinion. Would you consider, this is also Mikey P, would you consider doing with Ollie and Duncan a commentary on Dead Again, the often neglected and forgotten movie from the 1990s starring Kenneth Branagh, Emma Thompson, Robert Williams and Wayne Knight? I have never seen, let alone heard of that, Mikey. Fair dues. I don't know. I honestly don't know. And you're asking if I would do some commentaries on Kung Fu. Yeah, definitely. Definitely up for that. I'm not sure when. I will speak to Oliver about that for you, because classic Bruce Lee stuff I would do. Were you doing any more hilarious video specials? Yes, they are in the future. We will do those. Mikey, damn, you've got a lot of questions. Yeah, we will do that. That's definitely, it's just an ongoing thing. It's all about the time. Do you think Harlan Ellison was right when he said Terminator was plagiarism from his TV episode Soldier? Kinda is my answer. I think The Fly from 1986 is a great horror movie, blah, blah, blah. No, sorry, not blah, blah, blah. That's very disrespectful. I'll read that out. I think The Fly from 1986 is a great horror movie, a doomed love story. Why don't you guys do a commentary on that movie? I'm really surprised we haven't. I think I've talked about it before. Like, I really wanted to do it. So, yeah, that'll happen as well, mate. Definitely. I think Jeff Goldblum plays I think Jeff Goldblum plays the different stages of flydom excellently. Do you? Yes, I agree. I do. I think he's really tremendous in there. So I'm going to go back to Paul, because bless you, Paul, you've asked a few bits. Yeah, Doctor Who, I'm excited about Jodie Whittaker. I think she's great. I think she's a good pick, and I like how she's gone for a kind of Mork from Orson kind of look. Favourite Doctor is John Pertwee, as I've said. And the only questions I have about the current series is Chris Chibnall up to it, because I'm not sure he's written anything that I'm particularly astonished by. But there you go. The new Halloween movie, like I just said, I'm not mad about slashers, and I really think that, yeah, I'll listen to Carpenter's music, but the constant revivals of Halloween, they do nothing for me, I'm afraid. And yes, I do remember the Megatron flying saucer from the way to Alconbury, and I never got to go to it, which I'm still kind of really gutted about personally. That'd be one of my sort of time machine jobs, is to go to the Megatron. One kid at school told me you were served by robots, so there you go. Richard asks, hi Richard here. What's your death row meal, and what is most likely to have landed you there in the first place? I'll allow you 3 courses, but no Red Dragon style Michelin starred chef antics. Shit, 3 courses, fucking hell. Well, my mum's Sunday roast or Christmas dinner, one of the best meals in the world. Fucking hell, cliche as shit, but Jesus Christ. Quite hungry right now, thinking about that. So, love that. Roast chicken, roast beef, or a pepperoni pizza. The 3 courses, I'm choosing 3 mains. Try and stop me. A pepperoni pizza. Fucking love a pepperoni pizza, because I'm a pleb. Complete pleb. And also, I'd have my standard McDonald's meal, which is a large quarter pounder meal with a Coke, and then I have medium fries and a double cheeseburger on the side, because they took away supersize, innit? So that's what I'd have, because I'm a monster. Jamie Sutherland asks, as an avid fan of martial arts film, what would you say your favourite style is, and what film is it best utilised in? I'm afraid, Jamie, I'm probably less of a martial arts film fan than you think I am, because I know the fandom for that's really involved. I got really into Jeet Kune Do for a little bit, and Bruce Lee. You know, it's kind of hard for me to think of anything else, really, and his whole philosophy on that style of Kung Fu was really interesting, the way he applied it in his movies. It's a bit of a meat and potatoes answer, but there you go. I'm just going to check the time here, guys. Okay, I'm going to awkwardly leave this in, but I need to restart the camera before it cuts itself out. Oh, I'm back. How about that? James Stockdale asks, your number one 2000 AD story, not just Dredd? Good question, and certainly not just Dredd. Big fan of Rogue Trooper, big fan of Strontium Dog, both kind of John Wagner's, which is a bit of a cheat, but those are ones that I really, really loved as a kid. They're kind of in the big hitters. I mentioned Bad Company earlier, big fan of Bad Company as well. So yeah, probably those ones. Tiernan Hamill asks, hey Tiernan, hi Richard, loving the vlogs on the channel and lots of your other content. Keep up the great work. Thanks very much. What are your thoughts on the Evil Dead franchise and Ash vs Evil Dead? Has Oliver mistaken you for Lex Luthor from behind and accidentally attacked you yet? No, Oliver has not mistaken me for Lex Luthor from behind and accidentally attacked me. I'd be very flattered if he did. I love Lex. I think he's one of the best characters ever. Though I did get mistaken for my mate Tim the other day because we both wear white trainers and have slap heads now. Evil Dead franchise. I love the Evil Dead movies. I think Evil Dead 2 is probably my favourite, but I love all of them. Sam Raimi is one of the directors that made me want to do this, i.e. making films and criticising films. So as a kid when I first saw Evil Dead 1 and 2, blew my mind. Love Army of Darkness. I own, my friend Nick Skews, God love him, bought me a Deadite helmet, a screen-used Deadite helmet from Army of Darkness, which I have upstairs with a little certificate of authenticity. It's one of my most treasured possessions. Love the Ash vs Evil Dead series. I think they really smashed it with that. It exceeded my expectations. I don't talk about it enough. It's one of my favourite things. We did do commentaries on them way back in the kind of primitive days of the channel, so I dare say my views are expressed there very badly before we'd fully kind of formed how all this works, you know. The Deadly TJ. Hi Richard, it's Tom here. Hey Tom. My question is, which once great director working today do you want most to make a return to form, whether they haven't made a good film or a film that's truly their film in a long time? Okay, yeah, so has-been directors. Two Johns. John Woo. I haven't watched Manhunt yet. It's come on Netflix, but I've got nothing to encourage me. John Woo and John Carpenter. Now, John Carpenter is making new music. He's touring with his music. He's kind of continuing to exist, and that's really fantastic. You know, I really love him. But he hasn't, you know, I want the good John Carpenter film to come back, you know. I would love it so much if he just come back and did some nuts kind of genre thing that was firing all cylinders. But he hasn't, so, you know. Eridian Thorn asks, what's your favourite aspect ratio? I like 185:1, 2351 as well. I like those kind of classic cinema-y ones. But, you know, I work in 16:9 because I'm just a scumbag videographer. Bjorn Butes? Sorry, Bjorn. What are your favourite thoughts on Kubrick and his films? Which are your favourite? Big fan of your humour and your newly uncovered bald head. Cheers. Thanks, Bjorn. No worries. Yeah, love Kubrick. I was speaking to Brad about this the other day. I just think the man just lent himself to anything. He just did horror, did comedy, did kind of science fiction, did kind of thrillers, effortlessly. Everybody on his films suffered, but the films were amazing. Dr. Strangelove for me. I really love Dr. Strangelove. I just think it's hilarious, and Peter Sellers is so good in it. But then all kind of normal stuff, probably Clockwork Orange and The Shining. You know, I was never mad about Barry Lyndon, but it's an amazing film. I mean, he just went and did it because he's fucking Stanley Kubrick, right? I mean, he sets the high bar for everything, really. And just the whole kind of pacing of his... It's like taking a bath in liquid cinema, isn't it, when you watch a Kubrick? But yeah, Strangelove is way up there for me. I think it's a bit more offbeat as far as his kind of stuff goes. Aidan Lynn asks, Richard, have you ever danced with the Devil in the Pale Moonlight? Owing to my famous distaste for Tim Burton's Batman, I'm going to answer no to you there, Aidan. But I could do. I'm not against it. Phil Rob 1978 asks, okay, I'll bite. Why haven't you and Ollie done a Hot Fuzz commentary yet? You guys seem really up for it at the time. I'll let you in on a secret. I might get in trouble. We did, and we fucked it up. And we're going to do it again. Did it ages ago. Got some stuff wrong. We couldn't release it. I will talk about Hot Fuzz. I will talk about the Cornetto films until the cows come home. You know, and I think... I just rewatched World's End recently. I think it's ripe for reappraisal. So I would happily do that as well. Scotch or bourbon? Bourbon, brother. Should be Scotch, you know, owing to my heritage, but I'm being a naughty boy. But I do love me a bourbon, particularly Maker's Mark. This ain't mine, it's my housemate. So I texted him, can I drink some for my video? And he said, yeah, bless him. Anatoly Garbanzo starts with red alert. Okay, all things considered, bro. What's your favourite Arnold Schwarzenegger quote ever? I'm not talking about random asides, rather the expressed oral gifts of our generation's ultimate boss. Edit, by the way, I'm talking about movie dialogue, not personal quotes, like of him relaxing in his kitchen or chatting with a chick at the grocery store. He's got some interesting personal quotes, man. He's very against gerrymandering, which I find it very interesting. I mean, there's lots of Arnold Schwarzenegger that tells you that he's an awful monster that's mistreated his family, you know, in terms of his infidelity, but I just think of him as a cool guy, even though I probably shouldn't. I really like from Raw Deal when he says, do not drink and bake, because he shouldn't be in Raw Deal. Raw Deal is like this, it should have been like a Bronson or something like that was in Raw Deal, but instead it's Schwarzenegger, so the whole thing is just odd, the strange oddness of Schwarzenegger. So I'm going to go with don't drink or bake. Don't drink and bake. Simon Callahan says, what's your favourite scene from the movie Valerian? Be as detailed as possible. Now, Simon Callahan is a friend of mine, an actual friend of mine, like close friend. He's also a bit of a knob. He's trying to wind me up here. I like the scene when he went and used his fist in the virtual reality dimension hopping thing. I thought it was a really clever scene. Really clever scene. Regardless of what you think of the film Valerian, that scene was really stand out. Very clever scene. Favourite hair products from Demanti. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. Too soon. I've got a pot of hair wax upstairs that I can't use now. Sat there. Combs. Sat there doing nothing. I've got the 5 o'clock shadow at the moment, but I'm moisturising the dome. I sort of bick it off and moisturise it. That's what's going on these days. Wit2687, which is Whit Reese. Hi, Whit. If you could pass one universal law on Earth everyone had to follow, what would it be? What would the punishment of breaking said law be? Okay, fucking hell, that's big. If you could make any sci-fi weapon or gadget a reality, what would it be? Would you use it for the good of all mankind or likely doom us all to a barren wasteland? Well, I said before, I'm all about the golden ticket from Last Action Hero. Love it. Actually, no, you said gadget, sliders technology. Same thing. I'd love the sliders technology. And like I've said many times before, I go to the dimension where this Stallone Terminator 2 is a reality, or where you can get the good Star Wars prequels, or where Terry Wogan is still alive. What law would I pass? Dude, man, that's fucked. Jesus, that's a lot of responsibility, my friend. I don't even know what to say about that. For a start, I'd ban people from wearing like bright red chinos. And the penalty is death by being pulled apart by horses. And it's not just bright red chinos, it's just those bright coloured chinos. You live in a university posh town like Cambridge, there's all these cunts getting about in like purple trousers and they're all talking about rugby and that. They'd all be pulled apart by horses. Yeah. Mark Aquino asks, would you ever visit New Jersey if someone paid you to? We gave the world Bruce Springsteen and Danny DeVito. We're not a bad place as long as you stay away from Camden though. Well, Mark, my friend Steve married a girl from Jersey and moved out there a while ago, and he's invited me a bunch of times over the years. And I couldn't ever afford to go. I would love to go to Jersey because I'd love to see Steve again. Steve's been around here before, since moving to the States. I would happily go to Jersey. Yeah, even though it's kind of largely an abstract concept in my mind. Mr. HEC381991, catchy name. Don't know what to ask really. Anywho, keep up the good work. Hail Hydra. Hail Hydra, my friend. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I fielded it anyway. Robin Block. Hey, Robin. How is your work with Ollie and this channel helping you figure out what you want to do with your life? Well, you know, I'm doing this. I'm enjoying it. We just did the live show, which you, sir, were at, which I enjoyed very much. And, you know, yeah, I would like to continue to do this with my life. But, you know, it's how I can effectively monetize that because I've got to put food on the table, you know. But, yeah, this is helping me channel my energy in a good way and in a way that I enjoy. You know, like I've made a ton of effort for this Q&A just because I really want to do it. It's fun, you know. It's not going to make me any money because this channel makes no money, but it's good. It's a good hobby. I enjoy doing it. So it's taking shape, Robin, I promise, even if I am drinking. X-Men Oranges Tangerine asks, how did you, Oliver and Duncan meet? Hope your day's been all right. Keep up the good work. Day's been all right. Thank you very much. I hope yours has been good as well. Oliver and I met in a scout hut in North Cambridge in 2004 because it was an induction for a company called Cineworld that had opened a new cinema in Cambridge. And Ollie was going to work in projection. I was just going to be like, donkey on the floor because it was my job before I went off to do my degree. And one day when we were training, Ollie and I had already spoken, in the smoking area and stuff. And one day when we were training, this guy was trying to give us a seminar like on how to work the hot dog machine or something. And me and Ollie kept talking about centipede, which is a type of kitchen paper. And we were standing around going, centipede, in a David Bowie voice. And the man told us off. And I think that's my memory of how me and Ollie bonded, was over that. And then we spent that whole summer before I went to uni talking about movies, and we stayed mates. Oliver was contacted by Duncan, who was listening to Oliver's Superman shit a few years ago. And Oliver got Duncan to come and watch RoboCop 2014 with us at the cinema here before Ollie and I did the review. And that's the first day I met Duncan. And then the first review Duncan did with us was, so this is 4 years ago, was Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2. And Duncan and I think that's the second time we've met. And we sat in the cinema watching, taking the piss out of Amazing Spider-Man 2, just like cracking up. Drive home, we were just laughing about that film. And then the review was really, really funny, so we just kind of hit it off. So we were really lucky because Ollie and I were friends already, and Duncan kind of came from nowhere and just like clicked in, just like we're mates. And actually, after I'm done here, I'm going to wrap up, get this edited and uploaded. I'm going to Duncan's stag do tonight because he's getting married soon. So yeah, we all hit it off really well. It's kind of weird, but very lucky. I know from the Fix It in Post... Oh, sorry. Sam Montgomery asks, I know from the Fix It in Post video that you're not a fan of Alien Resurrection, Covenant and Prometheus, but what are your thoughts on Alien 3? Yeah, I don't mind Alien 3, actually. I need to reappraise it. I need to watch it again because it's one of these things that I've taken off the boil. But I remember the work print cut being better. I kind of feel like it's very interesting because it's David Fincher's first film, but he's disowned it because he was barely involved in his own debut movie. I think it's very interesting. I need to watch it again. But also, in terms of where it placed the series, it's a massive misstep because it just throws away all the goodwill generated by Alien and kind of makes the whole thing feel like a waste of time, because it kills off the characters that survived and such. AT3479 asks, will we get another cooking episode? Your recipe should be a staple for all future kitchen enthusiasts. Watch this space. I have something quite special planned in that regard. I used to work in the catering industry for about a decade, as you may or may not know. And I've got one friend who works in Cambridge as a head chef, and he's worked in a bunch of the really top-end restaurants. And he and I are putting something together for this channel, and that is what all I will say. Legit Grantham 20 says, what is your opinion on James Cameron's 29 Terminator? Don't do it. Waste of time. Start of a new trilogy, like all the other Terminator films. You've got David Goyer writing it. Don't do it. Not interested. You've had too many bites of cherry. Don't do a Bryan Singer, right? Don't be a fucking deadbeat dad and turn up. You fucked off for a loaf of bread when we were all 8 and you never came back. Then you turn up when I'm 25 and want to borrow some money. Fuck you, James Cameron. No, not into it. Brett Higgins asks, hey Brett, I hope you're feeling a bit better, man, by the way, because I know you're going through some shit. But based on what you said on Twitter, you're sitting around high watching our content, so I'll get behind that. How much did your miniature drone cost? My miniature drone was unbelievably expensive, Brett. Unbelievably expensive. If you could make a feature-length movie with no budget limitations, what would you make and who would you hire in front and behind of the camera? Nice and easy one for you, eh? Over the last couple of years, I've been cooking up a feature-length film in my head that I really want to write. And I will write, because I've got nothing to lose. I'm genuinely going to write it. And it's a sort of sci-fi, it's nothing original, but it's my own spin on it. It's like a sci-fi Rio Bravo type thing set in space. I love, robots and space. So it has robots and space in it. And I've got all the beats worked out in here. And it's kind of crazy because I've got it's sprung from me listening to certain music when I'm on journeys. And I know the first, second and third act, and I know the characters and stuff, but there is not a single word written down on the page. So if I were to die tomorrow, the whole thing would go with me. Not that anybody should care. So it's kind of a sci-fi thing with the kind of tone it's like Rio Bravo in space with the kind of tone of Star Trek 4. In front and behind of the camera, shit, I don't know, man. That's fucking, I don't know who at all I'd get to direct that, because my feeling is like, this is so I wrote it and someone gave a shit, I would sell it and let them get on with it and hope they did a good job. Ideal world, I'll get Brad, right? Get Brad or Mark Price to come and do it. And we'd have 100 million fucking quid or something. James Carmichael asks, of the 2 direct sequels of Terminator and the Robocop franchise, which you're looking most forward to, if at all? Honestly, neither, man. Honestly, neither. I just think, let it lie. We've had enough. I've had enough. Stop it. Everybody, just stop the world. I want to get off. With the polarised reaction to The Last Jedi, what do you think Disney, Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy's strategy should be going forward? Do they double down their current course to satisfy one side or produce a more balanced product? I've never seen such infighting in a fan base before and I'm just sitting back with popcorn loving it. I don't like it either way, by the way. James, I'm with you 100%. I used to love Star Wars. Nowadays, I just don't give a shit. Like, the whole thing's been squandered in my view. So I don't really care. I don't know what they can do to fix it, you know. I hope they do. But I just don't give a shit. Like, and Last Jedi, I'm one of the few people, I'm basically on the fence, but because it come off as mostly negative, people think I hate it. It was boring, it was badly paced, it was uneven, and it wasn't well written, and it didn't serve the characters well. And I felt like it had no relationship to the film that came before it, i.e. The Force Awakens, and was determined to undo everything that film did. And I just feel like, you know, they're wasting our time, basically. So fuck them. There's two overwhelmingly negative answers to your question. Eric Pieper asks, hey Eric, I'm curious about your film studies degree. Since the commentary / Fix It in Post episodes on Oliver's channel are typically around recent films, what are some of your views on cinema from the classic period, such as the silence of the 30s and 40s? Covered this a wee bit earlier. I'm a big fan of classical Hollywood, actually, man. Like, I in addition to what I already said, I like, the Philadelphia Story is one that I like. I like the original Scarface. Quite a lot of that silent era I really like. And obviously, as I said before, I like German expressionist cinema. I think it's really, it's really vital to the current movements. We don't really get to talk about that kind of stuff on this channel. I don't get, I try my best to be pretentious. Like putting a waistcoat on for Q&A on a channel that nobody watches, but I'd like to talk about that stuff more. Maybe I can do that on this channel because, we do it on the main channel. People don't really watch it because it's not what they're there for. So I hope that answers your question, and I hope, it's kind of tied into the last one. Banter546 asks, could you beat Duncan in a fist fight? No gadgets, no prep time. Wing Kong Exchange, hey dude, doubles down with, you'd have to factor in the location of the said fight, pub, car park, boxing ring or model village. And Brett Higgins says Harvester's toilet. I'm not going to be drawn on whether or not I could beat one of my close friends in a fist fight. I'd say this much. Duncan and I are basically in the same weight class. We're kind of similar height and build. We both work out. I think we both kind of look after ourselves and stuff. So I know, that's one of my mates. I'm not going to go into that. Simon Callahan, my friend Simon Callahan, who I've known since primary school. Here's some footage of Simon Callahan. Simon. Yeah, that's right, Simon. Don't do that again. What time do you set your alarm for? Self-employed, mate. I don't. What's your favourite Windows operating system? You didn't think I was going to answer that, did you? But I am. Big fan of Windows 10. We're being fans of Windows operating systems. You're going to have a bad time. 10's pretty decent. It works well enough. It's stable enough for me. 8 was a disaster, and so was Vista. Horrible operating systems. 7 was pretty good, pretty solid. I used to use 3.1 back in the day that I installed for floppies when I moved over from DOS. But actually, not a Mac guy. I used to have a dual boot system and run Ubuntu, Linux, and Linux Mint for a while. I don't have that at the moment because I had to just kind of move to a pure architecture because I need to use Adobe Premiere for work and I didn't want to make things unnecessarily complicated. Do you prefer bio or non-bio detergents? I don't actually know. I don't deliberately pick that. I didn't really know. But yeah, I hope that answers your questions. Caden Michael asks, for the Halloween season for Fix It in Post, could you review horror films from the 1930s and 50s like the Universal Monsters or something similar? I would love to. I know that's very much kind of James Rolfe's bag. I would love to. I'll float it this year. It's again kind of this thing, we do stuff that's kind of outside of a certain era and our audience tend not to watch it so much, which is a shame. But hey, I'll float it. I'd be totally up for it. I'd love to see like James Well Frankenstein on our channel, something like that. Lady Retro, hey Ellie. When are you and I going to have an OC Star Trek film marathon? I'll bring the snacks. Easy, Tiger. You're probably going to kidnap me at MCM in a couple of weeks, so once I've been bundled in the back of your van and dragged off to Hertfordshire, I'm sure we'll do it then. Niall asks, Mum wants to know why you're such a disappointment. Niall is my older brother. And Mum should just watch this and see that it's self-explanatory. Alex Ewing. Hey, Alex. Which description on the Bristol stool chart is your favourite? I can't remember which number it is, but it's the one that says it's long and smooth like a snake. If you don't know what the Bristol stool chart is, Google that now. The Wing Chong Exchange. Hey, dudes. See you commenting all the time, man. Thank you for that. If you had to donate a part of your body to science, what would it be and why? Don't know, man. Like, people always talk about my legs. I've got insane legs because, like, you may not know this, but Cambridge is in the east of England, which is completely flat. And we have the highest proportion of cyclists to citizens in the whole UK. So the idea in Cambridge is you get put on a bike when you're a kid and you just cycle everywhere. I never gave that up because I've always lived and worked in the city centre till I went freelance. So I don't have a car. So I cycle everywhere. So I've got these insane fucking gams for legs, like mutant legs. So I'd like them to analyse those and pass them on to future generations. Or my dick, obviously. Ha 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 ha. Chief Brody Rules asks, what's up, Frank? How you doing, man? If there was a Last Action Hero sequel, would it be super cool if there was movie jumping, as in they chase the bad guy through multiple movies? I think it would be cool. Yeah, man. I think you know me, dude. You know, yeah, I would love that. And I tell you as well, Frank, if they jump through Hudson Hawk, yeah, how fucking good would that be? Sam's channel. Hey, Sam. How you doing, dude? Sam came and did a Fix It in Post with us in this very living room. So I hope you're feeling warm and fuzzy, Sam, to see me in here. What camera or cameras do you use for filming outside of a tripod or shoulder rig? What would you say is the most important rigging equipment to own as a freelance videographer? I'll tell you this much. When I first started out, taking professional jobs a couple of years ago, I went and bought one of those shoulder rigs, which I still have and I still use. Well, no, I don't. Well, I still have and is in a cupboard. And I pulled it out the cupboard this morning for unrelated reasons and had cobwebs on it. Because with Warp Stabilizer in Adobe Premiere and a monopod, you're good. Like, I got a monopod and a quick release plate. I would say as a combination, if you can get compatible quick release plates, put one on your fluid head, one on your mono, and one on, you know, whatever else you got on your gimbal. Combination of those things is essential. The monopod changed the game for me because I used to have to take this fucking shoulder rig everywhere, and it does have a follow focus on it as well. I mean, I'm not knocking the rig. I've got some good stuff, but when I go out and do pro jobs and do conference, all about the monopod for running and gunning. And I've used it for Ollie stuff as well. When we're outside of any kind of studio environment, when we're running about, I use the mono. So important. And again, if you've got anything that's like a wee bit shaky, you know, being a kind of film guy yourself, I'm sure you've got a steady hand. You just got to keep that shit as steady as you can, and Warp Stabilizer will take care of it for you. Warp Stabilizer being a plugin for Adobe Premiere, for those of you who don't know. That combined with the quick releases with the kind of usual, you know, 3.5. Get some adapters for the 2 thread sizes, that's good. I invested in a gimbal. Last year I got a Zhiyun crane, which is kind of, you know, I can't afford a Ronin. I would like one though. I'm using the Zhiyun crane with the mirrorless camera, which I'm using at the moment. I'm getting really good results with that. But from a completely bread and butter perspective, I'd say go in with the old monopod there. Sort you right out. I do believe that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We had 80 comments to get through today, and I think we've run somewhere in the region of 50 minutes, which is rather long. I do apologise, it's probably rather tedious to watch. Thank you so much for your questions. I was very overwhelmed, I didn't expect so much. I've enjoyed the whiskey, I've enjoyed this little talk. We'll do it again. Expect more content. I planned some stuff for this channel. I'm trying to get more out for this channel. Also, watch out for the live Fix It in Post show that we did. We were at Pimp Shui on the Wednesday just gone. It's currently on Patreon, on the Ollie Patreon. And it should be uploaded to regular YouTube tomorrow. We were very proud of it. We had a really good time. So please go watch that when it comes up. And otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, I shall see you next time. Tatty bye.